There's a code, a secret, held by spiritual masters for over 1,000 years. And today, you will unlock what they desperately wanted to keep hidden from the modern world. Because while your mind spins endlessly, they know exactly how to bring about silence instantly. No meditation, no complicated mantras, just a code. But before I reveal this secret, I need to tell you something that will change everything you think about your racing mind. Have you noticed how your mind acts like a raging torrent? A river that never stops flowing. Thought after thought, worry after worry, and you trying to stem the tide with your bare hands, but you're doing it all wrong. These masters discovered something modern science is only now beginning to understand. Your mind isn't a problem to be solved. It's a river to be understood. And I'm going to show you how to transform that turbulent torrent into a crystal clear lake. First, you need to understand why this works. Why this code is so powerful, so capable of silencing your mind in mere seconds. It all began over 1,200 years ago. A secluded mountain retreat. There, a hermit named Elias discovered something unsettling about the nature. He realized that all mental agitation has a source, a hidden spring feeding the river of thoughts, and that this spring can be turned off. Imagine an on-off switch, a switch you never knew existed, a switch right there inside your own mind, waiting to be flipped. Problem is, nobody ever showed you where it is, but Elias did. And what he discovered was passed down secretly from master to master for generations, till it reached the ears of Eckhart Tolle. And now, it's reaching you, because I'll reveal not only the code, but also why it works. Why your mind obeys this silent command as if by magic. But it's not magic, it's pure neuroscience. Did you know your mind has a default setting? A state it slips into when you're not focused on anything specific? Scientists call it the mind's default setting. And this default setting is exactly where your agitation lives. That's where the repetitive thoughts reside, the worries that keep returning, the memories that haunt you. It's like a radio station that never stops playing. But the masters discovered how to change the station. They found a moment, a specific moment between one thought and the next. Empty space lasting less than a second. That space dwells silence. The secret isn't to stop thinking. The secret is to find this space and settle into it. How? Here's the first part of the code. Pay attention to your breath now. Not to control it, just to observe it. Inhale normally. Feel the air entering your nostrils, expanding your lungs. And when you exhale, do something different. Exhale completely, totally. Not just to where you normally stop. Keep exhaling. Push the air out as if you're completely emptying a balloon, until you feel your lungs are truly empty, until there's not a single drop of air left. And then, stop. Don't inhale immediately. Resist the automatic impulse. Wait, just 2 seconds, but 2 full seconds. Count mentally. This moment, something extraordinary, tearing branches, leaves, and debris of thoughts, suddenly stops. As if someone had closed and stops because it has no. Your mind can't produce the constant flow of thoughts when there isn't enough oxygen fueling this automatic process. It's as if you've turned off the generator that keeps the thought factory running. Seconds. You don't miss the oxygen, you miss the thoughts. And it's in this moment that you realize a disturbing truth. You're not your thoughts. You observes the thoughts. The masters call this the still point. That part of you that exists before any thought appears. That pure consciousness that doesn't need words to exist. And it's always been there, hidden behind the river of your thoughts. But now you know how to find it. Do it now. Exhale completely. Wait 2 seconds. And feel who you truly are. Feel it? That peace that doesn't depend on anything external. That's you, the real you. Without thoughts, without worries, just pure consciousness. But this is only the beginning of the code. Because the masters discovered that you can expand those 2 seconds. You can transform them into minutes, into hours, into a permanent state of peace. And this isn't metaphysics. It's neuroplasticity. Every time you access the still point, something changes in your brain. The neural connections responsible for repetitive thoughts begin to weaken. It's as if you're retraining your mind to function differently. This to work completely, you need the second part of the code. And the second part is where things get really interesting. Masters discovered that there's a word, a specific word that, when mentally pronounced at the right moment, amplifies the power of silence. It's not a Tibetan word. It's not a complicated mantra. It's a word you use every day, but you never used it like this. You discover what that word is, and when you learn to use it at the exact moment, your relationship with your own mind will change forever. Because this word has the power to transform those 2 seconds of silence into a permanent experience of peace. But before I reveal that word, I need to prepare you for what's going to happen. Because when your mind silences truly, for the first time in your life, you'll feel something you may have never felt before. You will feel who you really are. That can be intense. Imagine living your whole life in a noisy house, with loud music, the television on, people shouting, and suddenly, everything stops. Silence isn't just the absence of noise. It's the presence of something greater. It's the presence of you. The masters call this the profound shift. The moment when you realize you've always been searching outside for what was always inside. Peace, silence, wholeness. It's always been there. You just didn't know how to access it. But now you do. And when you completely master this code, something incredible will happen in your life. You're going to stop being afraid of your own thoughts. You're going to stop running from your own mind. Because you're going to discover that you are not a victim of your mind. You are its master. And a master doesn't fight the river. A master transforms the river into a lake. But to make this complete transformation, you need to know the rest of the code. The other techniques that spiritual masters use to maintain this state of silence, even amidst the chaos of the modern world. Because it's one thing to achieve 2 seconds of silence. It's another thing entirely to live in permanent silence, even with all the demands of modern life. That's what I'm going to teach you next. How to use the power of the still point to navigate stress, anxiety, the pressures of daily life, always maintaining that connection with inner peace. How to transform your mind from enemy to ally. How to make silence not an escape from reality, but a more powerful way to live reality. Because these spiritual masters don't live in a bubble. They live in the real world. And they apply these techniques in real situations. And you can too. In fact, you've already begun. From the moment you felt those 2 seconds of silence, something shifted. You experienced who you truly are behind all the thoughts. And that experience will grow. It will expand. It will become your new way of being. But first, you need the word. The word is now. But wait, before you think this is too simple, Let me explain what really happens when you use this word the way these spiritual masters discovered. Because it's not just about saying now in your mind. It's about uttering now at the exact moment you completely exhale and wait. It's about precise timing, like a key that only works when inserted at the exact moment. Inhale, exhale completely. I taught you. Feel your lungs completely empty. Wait. And right in the middle of those 2 seconds of emptiness, in the heart of the silence, mentally, with the softness of a breeze, whisper, now. Don't yell mentally. Don't force it. Just let the word appear like a dewdrop, forming naturally. What happens at this moment is pure neuroscience. When your mind utters now, in the state of respiratory emptiness, 3 things happen simultaneously in your brain. First, the word now activates a specific region of the prefrontal cortex, responsible for present moment awareness. It's like pressing a neurological button that says all attention to this instant. Second, the temporary lack of oxygen interrupts what neuroscientists call mind's default setting. That neural network that keeps churning out automatic thoughts, worries, memories, on alert, and most importantly, your consciousness is forced into the absolute present. In the absolute present, thoughts about the past literally do not exist. They have no neural substrate to manifest. Worries about the future disappear in the same way. They evaporate like mist under the sun. There's only you. There's only this moment. There's only the pure experience of being alive, without narrative, without history, without projections. In this moment, your mind cannot create agitation, not produce anxiety. It cannot generate that mental hamster wheel that never stops spinning. Try it now. Exhale completely. Wait 2 seconds. The middle. Just think, now. Feel the difference? Your mind has just been brought to the only moment where it cannot create suffering. Present moment. But here's where the code becomes truly powerful. These spiritual masters discovered that you can use this technique anyway, in any situation. Imagine you're in traffic, a complete standstill. Your mind starting to agitate. Thoughts of impatience, irritation. Instead of fighting these thoughts, you simply exhale. 2 seconds, and now, instantly, the traffic ceases to be a problem. Because you're no longer in your agitated mind. You're in the present. And in the present, there's no good or bad traffic. There's only what is. This is what these spiritual masters call active acceptance. It's not resignation. It's recognition of reality as it is, without the mental narrative that creates suffering. But this is still just the beginning, because these spiritual masters discovered a 3rd layer of the code, the deepest layer. They discovered that after you master the word now, you can evolve to something even more powerful. Complete silence, without words, without thoughts. Just pure consciousness observing reality. It's time for you to experience this. Let's do an exercise. An exercise that will show you the complete power of the spiritual master's code. Exercise that can change your perception of who you truly are. First, find your breath. Feel it happening naturally. Inhale normally, letting the air flow effortlessly. Now, exhale completely. More than you did before, much more. Exhale as if you were emptying not only your lungs, but every cell in your body. Keep exhaling until you feel you have become hollow, empty, like a vessel that has been completely emptied. Wait, 5 seconds this time. 5 complete seconds of emptiness. And during those 5 seconds, Don't think now. Don't think anything. Don't even try not to think. Simply let the emptiness be emptiness. Just observe. Observe the silence that arises. Not an external silence. There may still be noises around you, but the internal silence. The deep silence of your own consciousness. It is not busy producing thoughts. Observe the stillness. A stillness that is not inertia or drowsiness, but a subtle vibration of pure life, without words, without concepts. Observe the peace that exists when your mind is not working, when it's on vacation from itself. A peace that wasn't earned, that wasn't deserved, that simply is. What you are experiencing now is what these spiritual masters call natural samadhi. It's not an altered state of consciousness. It's your natural state, who you always were when you weren't busy being something else. State where your consciousness exists without needing content. Like the sky that exists without needing clouds. Like the ocean that exists without needing waves. Like the silence that exists without needing sounds. Without thoughts. Without emotions. Without stories about who you are or should be. Just pure being. Pure existence. Pure consciousness breathing itself. And here's what's truly extraordinary. In this state, you don't miss anything. You don't need anything. You don't feel that something is wrong or needs to be changed. You are complete, exactly as you are. This is the secret that these spiritual masters kept. The peace you seek isn't somewhere out there. It's within you. It is you. When you stop thinking you're something else. Now comes the most important part. How do you maintain this state? How do you live from this place of inner silence, even when life gets chaotic? Answer is practical, consistent practice. Spiritual masters practice this code dozens of times a day, not just when meditating, during the simplest tasks, washing dishes, walking, eating. With each activity, they pause, they exhale completely, they wait, and they return to the still point. This is how silence becomes a permanent state. It's not a state you reach once and you're done. It's a state you choose, moment after moment, and each time you choose, it gets easier. Mind begins to understand that this is your natural state. Agitation is just a habit that can be a special technique that spiritual masters use to accelerate this process. A technique that transforms your daily life into a training ground for consciousness. They call them anchors of silence. These are specific moments in the day where you automatically access the code. Like a reminder, your own life gives you subtle triggers that reconnect you with who you truly are. For example, every time you open a door, any door, the door to your house, the car door, the bathroom door, the elevator door, before turning the knob, you pause for a second. Exhale completely. Wait 2 seconds. Think, now. Or simply observe the silence, and then open the door. This transforms each door into a portal from autopilot to mindful awareness. Or every time your phone rings, before even looking at who it is, you do the code. A complete breath, 2 seconds of waiting, return to silence, and then answer. This completely changes the quality of your conversation because you're no longer reacting automatically. You're responding consciously. Or before each meal, before taking the first bite, you honor the food, honor the moment, honoring yourself through the code. Inhale, exhale completely. Observe the silence, and then eat consciously. Before each shower, before the water touches your skin, you connect with the inner silence, transforming a routine act into a ritual of presence. Upon waking, before even getting out of bed. Still lying down, eyes closed, you practice the code. You begin the day not from thoughts, silence. Or sleeping, the last thing you do. Not reviewing the day's problems. Exhale, wait, and surrender to the silence. You sleep as consciousness, not as a restless mind. Transform everyday activities into portals to silence, and gradually, imperceptibly, your entire life becomes a continuous meditation. Not a meditation where you sit and close your eyes. Meditation where you live each moment with full awareness. Perhaps you're wondering, what if other people notice? What if they find it strange? Here's the beauty of the spiritual master's code. No one notices. Exhaling completely, waiting 2 seconds, is imperceptible. Seems like a normal breath to anyone observing. But for you, it's a complete transformation. It's the moment where you get off autopilot and take control of your own experience. And that changes everything. Your conversations become more present. Your listening becomes deeper. Your patience becomes natural. Because you're no longer reacting from a restless mind, you're responding from silence. And people feel this. Even without understanding what changed, they notice that there's something different about you. A quality of presence. A peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. This is what happens when you master the code. But now I need to tell you something important. Something that may happen in the first few days of practice. Something the spiritual masters call the great resistance. Your mind will resist, and it won't be subtle. It will create more thoughts, louder thoughts, more urgent, more dramatic thoughts, more internal agitation. Like a child throwing a tantrum when parents decide to set new limits, your mind will insist that you need to think about that problem, that you need to solve that situation, that you can't simply stop and be in silence when there's so much to do, so much to worry about. Try to convince you that silence is irresponsibility, that inner peace is a luxury you can't afford. You need it. You need the agitation, because otherwise things will go wrong. This is normal. It's expected. It's actually a sign that you're doing it right. Your mind is used to being the queen of the castle. For years, for decades, it has commanded your life experience. And suddenly, you're taking control. You're saying, no, I choose when to think, I choose when to worry. I choose when to remain silent. It won't like this at first. It will do the mental equivalent of a child screaming in a supermarket. But here's what you need to know. This resistance is temporary. It's not permanent. It's not a sign that the method doesn't work for you. You continue practicing the code, regardless of mental resistance, regardless of the thoughts that insist you stop. Something extraordinary will happen. Your mind will surrender, not because it was defeated, but because it discovered something better. It will realize that silence is not a threat to its existence. It's a relief. It's a well-deserved rest from having to produce thoughts constantly, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Imagine working non-stop, without vacations, without breaks, without rest for decades. And suddenly, someone offers you a break, a real break, where you don't need to do anything, to solve anything, don't need to worry about anything. That's what silence represents for your mind, a vacation from the responsibility of carrying the whole world on your shoulders. And that happens, you will experience something that few experience. Permanent peace. Not peace that depends on everything going right. Peace that exists regardless of any circumstance. Peace. Understand why spiritual masters kept this code secret. Not because they wanted to hide something precious from the world, but because they knew that only truly determined people would be able to apply it. People willing to question their own minds, to challenge the habit of living on autopilot. People like you. Because if you've made it this far, if you've listened to all of this until the end, it's because something within you recognizes the truth. It recognizes that there's a different way to live, a way where your mind is your ally, not your prison. A way where silence isn't the absence of life, but the total presence of life. And that way is available to you now, not tomorrow, not when you've solved all your problems, now. Because the code of the spiritual masters isn't something you need to learn for years. It's something you can apply in the very next second. Inhale, exhale completely, wait, and return home. Return to who you always were before all the thoughts. Return to the silence that never abandoned you. It's always been there, waiting for you to discover the way back. Now you know the way. The code is in your hands. Eckhart Tolle speaks of this still point, this access to inner peace, available to all. This isn't some esoteric secret, held only by a select few. It's a fundamental truth about the nature of consciousness. It's about finding the on-off switch for the mind's default setting, that relentless chatter that keeps us from experiencing the present moment fully. It's about tapping into that profound shift, the moment of clarity where the world ceases to define you, and you simply are. It's the experience of the still point. Eckhart Tolle calls this an awakening, a homecoming. By simply returning to that still point, you're accessing the profound peace that has always been within you. You are silencing the noise and embracing the tranquility of your own being. Remember the teachings of Eckhart Tolle. Allow the still point to be your guide. Discover the profound transformation that awaits. This isn't a destination you reach. It's a state of being you inhabit. This is the path. This is your freedom.